Amazon's HQ2 not coming to New York. The company will not be reopening that search for a new location. The announcement 3 months ago had set off a real estate frenzy in Queens, but now, well, they have to deal with the aftermath.
It would have been great to have all those jobs and the other things that go with it.
I'm not going to sit here and say the capital of business in the entire world doesn't want business here. We're closed for business in Queens, everybody. We're closed for business here. Don't bring your big business here, because if you're too big, you get the ire of office seekers.
New York Governor Andrew Cuomo slammed the decision, saying in part, a small group of politicians put their own narrow political interests above their community. Joining us now, the Peebles Corporation founder, chairman, and CEO, Don Peebles. Don, now you're a mega real estate dealer. You're a power broker in the Democratic Party. And this is interesting because it's commerce meets, I'd say, social justice movement in your party. How do you view the aftermath?
Well, look, first of all, I don't see commerce and social justice competing. I think the reality is, in order to have social justice, we have to have commerce and expansion of economic opportunities. So I think this is a terrible result. And it's indicative of the slide that New York City and New York State is experiencing now. People are leaving, companies are leaving, and tax revenue is down already in December by $3 billion. So there are some real headwinds ahead for New York City and New York State. And the governor was trying to diversify the income and the tax base in New York City and New York State, which is heavily dependent on real estate and finance. And so Mike Bloomberg started this effort to make it a tech center, and this relocation of Amazon's second headquarters would have been a big win for the city and for Long Island City.
Some folks are saying, hey, if you were willing to offer a $3 billion incentive package to one company, the richest, one of the richest companies in the world, certainly the richest man in the world, why not broaden it and lower the taxes for business in general? Why not lure other businesses, particularly smaller businesses, which traditionally create more jobs?
They're not mutually exclusive, and that's where the problem is. And I think the liberal part of my party, the far left, is out of touch and doesn't understand job generation. The deal with Amazon, yes, New York City, New York State was going to provide ultimately about $3 billion in tax incentives in terms of tax credits. So that's tax increment financing. In exchange for $27 billion in direct tax revenue. That's a 9-to-1 return on its investment. Outstanding investment by any standard. So it was a good deal. Plus 150,000 indirect jobs, 25,000 direct jobs, entrepreneurial opportunities for New York City and New York State businesses. So the idea that anybody in their right mind could think this is a win to scare Amazon away, what it's saying is New York City and New York State is no longer open for business. If you're too successful, don't come to New York.
Don,
that's what this is saying.
It's Deirdre. I want to pick up on a point that Charles just made. What about another tech giant, Google, that is investing $1 billion in a new campus in Chelsea and Manhattan? They are spending between 13 and 14 billion, 14 cities across the U.S. They didn't hold this kind of 2-year PR campaign. They're just building offices where they want to build offices. They didn't ask for anything. So do you think that Amazon got a bit over its skis in the contest?
No, look, first of all, you look at what Google did is they bought $1 billion of Chelsea real estate, a good investment. They made a strategic real estate investment to house their own employees who are already there. Amazon's going to bring incrementally 25,000 new jobs. That's a big difference. So, by the way, one doesn't eliminate the other. This idea that, okay, you're giving $3 billion to Amazon, they weren't. They were giving back $3 billion of money that Amazon was going to be paying them. That's the difference here. And so the idea is that New York City, I mean, it is under siege in terms of the financial services industry, which is a portable industry, and people are leaving. Businesses are leaving. Entrepreneurs are right down here where I am right now in Florida because there's zero state income taxes and a business-friendly environment versus an unfriendly business environment in New York City and the highest taxes in the country.
Right. Don, this decision has been declared a victory for Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and one of the tweets she put out yesterday, or a retweet, said defeating an anti-union corporation that mistreats workers, assists ICE in terrorizing immigrant communities is a victory. Defeating an unprecedented act of corporate welfare is a triumph that should change the way we do economic development deals in our city and state forever. I mean, this is where your party is going, and you know, listen. I have
to laugh because it's nonsensical. I mean, I hope her 15 minutes of fame ends soon before she destroys the Democratic Party, because the Democratic Party stands for ideals of expansion of opportunity, not socialism or communism. I mean, she has no idea what she's talking about. I mean, every statistic or every tax idea or business idea that comes out of her mouth is wrong and is not fact-based at all.
Right.
I would love you to keep going on that because I think that's a great theme. But the main political beneficiary of this decision in New York is the governor of Virginia, in the fact that Amazon might double down going into the political trouble in Virginia. Is there any place where the Democratic Party doesn't seem to be running into trouble these days?
Yeah, look, I think Washington, D.C. would be, Amazon gave a lot of consideration to the District of Columbia itself. I think they'll take another look at the District of Columbia. And I think they'll take another look at Charlotte, North Carolina. I mean, you can be progressive as a politician and still be pro-business. If you look at Washington, D.C., they have a very progressive mayor, very progressive policies, but it's extremely business-friendly and business-oriented. I mean, there's no reason to have this class warfare and this conflict between business and the government. I mean, business is who's creating jobs. The congresswoman you mentioned hasn't created a single job in her life. I mean, we need job producers so that people can hold jobs. And without them, there will not be any income equality.
Don, it is always a pleasure, and it's been too long. Great seeing you, my friend. Appreciate it. We'll see you again real soon.
Great. Thank you for having me, Charles.
Don Peebles.